but I can imagine you sitting there. So welcome to this drawing tutorial video, basic video. I'm just gonna go through a couple of things before we start, just so you can gather and get yourselves ready. So this video today is going to be mainly focused on drawing, so less about like color and color theory and painting, but more about drawing. So how to get proportions right, some tips and tricks about drawing. So it is going to be fun. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them below. Write a comment. I'm going to have a Q&A at the end of this video because I'm going to run through a whole bunch of things and then I'll answer some questions. If we run out of time and I can't get to your comments, then I will reply to them afterwards. So, oh, pardon me. So we're going to have fun today. My name is Natalie. I work here at the St. Mary's team. I am an artist, originally from Australia, if my accent doesn't give me away. So my handles are Art by Natalie Beth. So if you Google that, I'm on DeviantArt, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, a whole bunch of different things. So if you want to check out anything else that I've done, that's all going to be online there for you. Okay, what else do you need to know? I think that is pretty much it. So there will be a lot of talking for the start of this video because I really want to just lay the lines of everything that I know to help you with, and you can spend your whole afternoon drawing if you want. And if you have any questions, please feel free to message me on my page or the St. Mary's page, and I will get back to you on those as well. So I hope everyone is able to see this. Let me just double check that we're definitely live on the Facebook page, because there's no point doing this if no one's listening. All right, just give me one moment. I can see my face and I can see 7 people watching. Hello to you 7 people, fantastic. Just let me know if you can hear me. If you have any trouble with the sound or if there's any technical issues, just let me know. And otherwise, we'll get started. Excellent, cool. Also, just to make you aware, there is a very slight delay with catching up to where I'm up to. So if I don't respond straight away, it's probably because I'm a little bit ahead of where you are. Okay, so hello and welcome. Okay, so first things first. All right, I'm going to switch screens like this so you can see my iPad. Excellent. So I'm currently on an iPad, streaming it to my computer. So I thought I'd just run you through some of the artwork that I've created, just so I can give you an overview of kind of where I came from, where I started, what I do, what I've loved, a whole bunch of things. So pretty much, if I was to describe myself, I don't even know how I would do that as an artist. I love everything. Pencil drawings, paintings, I do a bit of graphic design, video, photos, animation. It's a whole bunch of things, and I've just really gone through a whole process of different things over time. So I start off with pencils. So pencils, graphite, whatever you prefer. So these are some of my pencil drawings. So these were done on just normal paper, more drawing paper. I'll talk a bit more about that later. So I used to love doing lots of portraits. So it took me a few years to kind of build up the skills with pencils. There's a lot to learn. So please definitely don't feel bad if your first drawing looks like a stick figure, because mine did too. We all start there. So I've done a couple of animal drawings, and this is just some of my artwork. This is probably my favorite drawing that I've done. Just to let you guys know, this guy is Ben Barnes. I absolutely love this guy. So he's going to come up a couple of times in this. So this is the drawing that I did of Ben Barnes. So yeah, that's just some of the stuff that I've done with pencil. All right, let's go to the next one. Digital. All right, I'm seeing comments. Hi, Freddie, Charles, John, Sarah. Amazing. So good you're here. Okay, so now we have some digital stuff. So I pretty much did pencil drawings for about 2 years, and then I moved into digital. I'll explain a bit more about the materials that you need for digital painting in a bit, but I love Disney. Okay, so there will be lots of Disney, lots of cartoons. So I did, drawings of Frozen's Castle, Olaf. This is the one that I kind of just made up from my imagination. Obviously, that's not based on real life, although I wish it was. I kind of dipped in and out of more realism and then back to kind of more cartoony things. I think my style is more like this now. I quite like sharp poppy colors and shapes and geometrics, but that's what happens as an artist. You go through all sorts of different phases. And yeah, I did that one as well. I love this one of Rapunzel. And then I also did stuff like this. I just made this up one day. I just like things that are funny. I'm a funny guy or funny girl, but hopefully I'm funny. Most people pretend that I'm not, but I think they secretly think I am. So, and then this one, I made this for a commission work for somebody. They wanted an Alice in Wonderland scene, so I created kind of these versions of Alice in Wonderland. So that is some of my digital stuff. Again, there's more on my websites as well, so you can check that out there too. Now painting, so there's different types of paint. So you've got like watercolor paint, you've got oil paint, you've got gouache paint, you've got, I don't even remember what I've said already, but gouache paint is my favorite. That's just a personal preference. It's somewhere between, that's it, acrylic paint. So acrylic paint, you probably use that as like poster paint. I don't know what it's called here in the UK. But acrylic paint and watercolor, if you were to put those two together, that's gouache. So it kind of works a bit like watercolor, but it dries quite strongly pigmented. So these are some gouache paintings that I've done over time. Lots of Disney again. Did this with my friend's dogs. So anyway, just to give you an idea of some of the stuff that I've done, where I've come from. Now, this is probably where my heart lies. I love realism and stuff, but I just love sketches. I love quick drawings. I love landscapes. Anyway, this is kind of the stuff that I've been loving lately, doing some kind of pen drawings, a bit of Harry Potter there, London. And yeah, so I've just been loving sketches as well. So that is just a kind of rough overview of some of the drawings I've done. And yeah, again, more stuff on my websites as well. But that should hopefully get you started. Okay, let's start with tips. Okay, we will be doing some drawing, I promise, but if you get some of these things in your head and get them down and ready, then it'll make it all the better for you. Okay, my first thing that I want to say, let me skip to this so you can see my face. I can't express more. It does not mean you have to be talented to draw. Okay, I would absolutely love to just do away with that right now. The only thing that you need is to be passionate and want to do it. I started off drawing stick figures. Like I remember doing a plate when I was a kid of my mum, and she was pregnant with my brother, and I've drawn this like spider baby in her stomach. We all start there. The only thing that makes us different is practice. So if you are passionate about wanting to learn to draw, but you can only draw a stick figure, and even that is difficult for you, trust me when I say that if you practice and you're passionate about it and you spend the time, it is going to work and you're going to get better. It's going to take time, but you will get there. So it is nothing to do with talent and everything to do with passion and patience. All right, golden rule. So I remember when I started off as an artist, I remember just scouring the internet for something that would give me like this is what, if you do this, then you're going to be a better artist. And I could never find anything concrete. And I ended up deciding that the best thing is practice. Honestly, there is no cheat. There's no one way out of this. It's just practice, 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 practice. So the golden rule is practice. All right. Number 3, take breaks. Sometimes with drawing, you get into this kind of different zone where time doesn't seem to be relative anymore. You're just in the zone. And sometimes a drawing is better when you take a step away and take a break. Sometimes I'll work on something and I just get so frustrated and angry. And often, maybe less or more for others, but when you're drawing and you're frustrated and angry, you don't draw very well. So if you get frustrated, just walk away, make a cup of tea. You're British, go do that. And then come back, have another go. It'll be great. Okay, this is just as much for me as it is for anyone else, because I've struggled as an artist over time because I've seen where my art is at and I've seen what someone else is doing and it has never quite matched up. And I've been quite downhearted about it. But what I think we could do, if we could do it the right way, is to be inspired, not comparing ourselves. If you see someone else that's doing something that you love, great. Don't be intimidated by it. Have a go at drawing it. Work out how they did that, because the best thing you can do as an artist is to find your own flavor and your own style. Like, it's good to, can't get all different sources in and to mimic bits and pieces of people, but over time you will develop your own style, and that is uniquely yours. So please be inspired. Don't compare yourself to other people. 5, build a visual library. Now, this is something that it probably took me years to figure out. Because I remember thinking there's all these amazing artists out there that don't even have to look at a reference image. They can just pull these amazing things out of their head. And so I spent years trying really, really hard to just do that. And I never really improved because the trick is I didn't have enough of a visual library in my head. I'll explain that a bit more in a second, to be able to pull these things out. So a visual library means draw from reference a lot, lots and lots and lots and lots. You're not good at drawing hands? Right, draw 100 hands, 100 hands. And I guarantee that you will be better after 100 hands, but just sitting there and trying to work it out without references is not going to get you anywhere. So don't feel like I have to be this amazing artist that can draw without looking at something. No, draw it looking at something, and eventually it'll become like muscle memory. Drawing does become like muscle memory. I can draw eyes because I spent all of my high school doodling eyes all over my work and exams and stuff like that. Kids, don't do that. Don't draw on your exams. But it's because I built up muscle memory in this visual library. Okay, I spent a bit too long on that. But number 7, use a timer. Okay, this is probably something you might want to do after you've been drawing for a little while, because it might feel a bit disheartening and a bit too much pressure to start off here. But as you kind of get better at drawing, one of the things that is really good is using a timer, because even for myself, I'll say, right, I'm just going to sit down and do a quick drawing. And then 10 minutes later, I'm still like working on the eyelashes because I've just kind of gotten so like focused on it. Whereas there's actually something wonderful about speed drawing, because it kind of, when you go to do a drawing and you're in your head thinking, oh, I'm not going to do this, it's going to look crap, blah, 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 blah. You can get so focused on that, and it sometimes just doesn't go anywhere. So the best thing to do, set a timer and just have fun. If it doesn't look good, doesn't matter. No one has to see it but you. But doing that timer kind of helps you get out of your head, because now you're thinking about a clock and you're just listening up. And I'll show you some examples of some timer drawings that I did later on. So that is just kind of 7 golden rules from me. Hope some of those helped. There's a lot more in there as well that I could talk about, but that's just where we'll start there. Right. Shall we do something? Let's do something. Okay, let me see what I set up all these layers yesterday, and I thought, oh, this is either going to help me or I'm going to be on the wrong layer every time. Okay, this is the right layer. Perfect. Okay, so some very basics in shading. Let's switch views so you can see this better. Great. Everyone still with me? Hi, Charlotte, Colin, everyone else. Hello, everyone. So glad you're here. Okay, shading. Just some very basics where you can start off practicing, because sometimes it's really good to kind of get down these key things before you actually start doing lots of drawings. But do what you want. Do what you want. I know what everyone wants to do a drawing. It's like learning guitar. Everyone wants to start playing. They don't want to learn all these things. Okay, shading. Cross-hatching. If you're a little bit unsure about shading like tonally, which is the next thing, cross-hatching is a great place to start because it's lots of fun. So, and it's also a great thing to practice is drawing straight lines. You realize how hard it is to draw straight lines, but just see if you can see how good you are at trying to keep an equal distance between your lines. And don't worry if you're not good at it. It doesn't matter. I'm just saying it's lots of fun. Draw some lines. And then I wouldn't probably go like this, because it looks like you're doing a really intense version of noughts and crosses. Just move your lines just slightly to a different angle. And you'll realize the more that you go over certain lines, that you're building up tone. And so you can use these lines to bring light and shade. So if you go either further apart or closer together, like see how instantly you can tell one's lighter, one's darker. So you might want to so we can see how it's gone from a lighter to a darker shade. They're not very straight lines. Apologies from my end on that. But anyway, have fun with that. It's lots of fun. It's lots of fun. Okay, next thing is shading tonally. Okay, so this is a bit tricky for me to do on my device because I'm working digitally, but it's a lot easier if you've got pencils. But maybe set yourself, you might want to draw. Oh, it's a little bit too big. Set yourself a box and then challenge yourself to try and shade tonally from one side to the other, getting gradually lighter and darker. Right. You might want to shade a box like that, or you might just want to practice. Doing it just as a line. So go from darkest to the lightest. Again, it's a bit hard for me to do this on my tablet because of the brush that I'm using particularly, but have a go. It's lots of fun. I'll also show you a trick for shading in a little bit as well with tissues. Okay, now this is probably the thing that I would stress the most is when people start drawing, they seem to want to shade in the same direction across everything, but you've got to think about every object as a 3D object. So with, let's see what my brush looks like. Great, let me make that a bit darker. Yeah, so with the circle, for example, what you don't want to do see, I started to curve there because this is natural, but you don't want to just go in a straight line. So you don't want to shade just like this or just like this. You want to actually follow the shape that you're going around. So for this one, follow the shape around. Oh. So think about it as the shape that it is. This is a circle, so we want to go in circular motions. If you're drawing a scene where there's lots of different angles, think about the angles that these are on. So for example, with our box, you're going to follow the shapes. Sometimes it's okay to do them in the same way. Like this is probably less important because it's just a cube. But when you're working with surfaces that have got curves, that have got straight lines, think about the shape of it and think about where the light and the shadow is hitting it. And that will just help you so much more. So there you go. That's a couple of things on shading. Okay, we all still with us? Great. Hi, Naomi, Kelsey, amazing. Okay, let's draw some circles. Sorry, just getting on the right layer there. Cool. Okay, so if you have, I'm hoping you've got a couple of bits of paper. Otherwise, just divide your paper into sections where you can. Let's try doing 10 seconds, one circle. So take 10 seconds to draw one circle. The next one, we'll just do one circle in 1 second. And the last one, we'll do 10 circles in 10 seconds. Okay, all right. Let's start with 10 seconds, one circle. All right, are we ready? All right, let's go. Okay, 1 second, 1 circle. Are you ready? We're ready? All right, go. 10 seconds, 10 circles, and go. Okay, I'll let you catch up just in case you're a little bit behind. Okay, all right, so there's a couple of things I want to point out here. First of all of these are fine. Whatever yours looks like, they're fine. We're all starting out, and if you look at mine, I've been drawing for 10 years and my circles aren't perfect. So one thing that I want to teach you before we go much further is, like me, probably even in that video, when we draw, let me actually just go like this because I need to explain something. Okay, when we draw, we use our hands, right? But our hands are connected to our shoulders, and our shoulders are very important when we draw to make something look quite dynamic and quite fluid. So when we're just sitting there and we're just flicking our wrists, the movement that we get out of that is quite minimal. What you want to do is think about it in a bigger perspective. So when you are drawing, think about where your shoulder is. If your shoulder is like locked up and tense like this, your drawing is going to be quite rigid. But if you just relax your shoulders when you're drawing and you think about it, you know, if you're drawing and you're kind of hunched over, go, okay, now you need to relax. And then think about it in terms of, in terms of your shoulder, really. So we're going to do that exercise again. We're going to think about our shoulder, and let me go back a couple of steps. Let me switch out of this. Okay, so I want you to think about your shoulder. And another thing that I want you to do is, before you go to draw a circle this time, think about the movement of a circle, but without putting your pen on the paper. So often when I'm drawing a circle, I'll be doing this and I haven't even touched the page yet. I'm just hovering over the page. I'm thinking about my shoulder. I'm getting the movement right. I'm like, right, that's a circle, and then go, and I draw a circle. So let's have a go at doing that. So let's focus this time on these ones here. Okay, all right, are we ready? All right, so we're going to do our first 1 second, 1 circle. So you can get on the page, get your hand moving. You're not drawing yet. Thinking about it, relaxing that shoulder. And there we go. Okay, so that looks like a better circle to me than it did before. It's got more lines on it, but I think it looks fun. It's got more gesture. It's got more dynamic look to it. And I had more fun doing it because I wasn't so stressed and hunched over. So let's do 10 seconds, 10 circles. All right, thinking about it, and okay. So again, I think those are better than the last ones. They look like more fun. I had more fun drawing them. And this one almost looked pretty good to me. So when you're drawing, think about your shoulder, think about your posture, okay, I don't know if any of you have ever had to go to a physio before. I've had problems with my knee, and often the physio says, the issue is your core. And I'm like, mate, I'm not a physio, but why is my core affecting my knee? It's because the whole body is connected. So think about it, think about your shoulder, have fun with it. Don't hunch over your drawing, take a step back and have fun with it. Sometimes get a bigger piece of paper, draw big circles and practice drawing circles. It's lots of fun. Okay, all right. So we've drawn some circles. Where are we at now? All right, back to a couple of tricks and then we're going to do some more drawing, I promise. Okay, so are we still all good? I can see everyone. We're still live. Amazing. Okay. So when it comes to pencil drawing, a couple of things I wanted to talk to you about is, let's start with pencils. So when you get a pack of pencils, you'll see they've got different numbers on the top of the pencils. So pretty much F is the very lightest shade of graphite that you can get, which is this one. Oops, I knew that was going to happen. Where are we? Graphite. Okay. So that is the lightest one that you're going to get as an F. I very rarely ever use an F because it's so light that I just don't like it very much. And then as you move through, oh, actually, I've lied to you. I'm so sorry. I repent. 9H. That's the lightest one you're going to get. I'm going from left to right. So that's probably the lightest you're going to get. And then it moves all the way up the scale, all the way up to a H and an F, and then we move to HB, and HB moves all the way up to 9B. Okay, when I draw, I would say I probably wouldn't go any lighter than a 2H because I don't really find there's any much difference between all of those ones. When you're drawing with a very light pencil, don't press too hard because the light pencil, if you use it too much, you create kind of like a sheen matte feel on the paper, and then it's very hard to put a darker color because you've used so much graphite, really light graphite, that it becomes very hard to draw it with darker. So if you are using a light pencil, just keep it quite light as well, and then that way it still leaves you room on the paper to draw and add up darker layers. Okay, so I would probably work from a 2H, and my favorite one is probably a 2B. That's a great one to sketch with, and just overall is really good, but definitely experiment with going really dark, dark colors to build up really good shadows. Don't be afraid of shadows. Okay, all right, let's get rid of that. GSMs, if you're buying paper, please don't, you can start with printer paper, like that's fine. But if you want to do a really nice drawing, buy yourself some good drawing paper. I promise you it makes a difference. So GSM stands for grams per square meter. If Kevin Faulkner is watching this, I know you'll know this, which is awesome. Shout out to you. So 80 GSM is probably like your average printer paper. And then it goes up to about 300 GSM. You probably don't need that much. 200 is fine. And with paper, you have different textures, which I'll go into a bit later. So hot press gives you I'm not sure if you can quite see that. Can you? Yeah, you can see that texture. So hot press gives you like a really flat texture. Then there's cold press and rough as well. All right, blending stumps. Okay, so when you're blending, you can do it one of two ways. You can do it lots of ways, but I mainly do two. So blending stumps is kind of like using a pencil, but for blending. So it'll blend, if you use just the tip of the pencil, it'll blend a very small area, but then you can turn it just slightly and then use, I don't know if you can see this, use that kind of section there to smooth out more stuff as well. But again, it only works in very small areas. If you want to use something bigger, get yourself some tissue. Now, we are living in the COVID-19 pandemic at the moment, so I don't actually have tissues, I have toilet paper. But when you're shading, where are we? There we are. When you are blending, what I do is wash your hands. Wash your hands first because you have oils on your hands. So just washing your hands just helps kind of strip any majorly oily parts off it. Then get your tissue and then wrap it around your finger, and then you can blend like that. So that is a great way to blend quite large areas. Okay, right. So that's some tissues. Another trick is baking paper. Guys, this is like, if I could tell you one drawing tip, it is this one. Okay, so when we're drawing, like I mentioned before, we have oils on our hands, especially on our palms, and they get sweaty. And so if you're drawing and you're on your paper and you keep drawing over your drawing, you're spreading oil all over your page, and then you're going to get oily patches on your page. So the simple trick for that, get some baking paper from the kitchen, rip a sheet off, and put it under your hand. So as you're drawing, it's actually keeping the oil off the page. Honestly, it's magic, guys. You will love it. You will love it. Okay. All right. Have I covered everything on this page? Yeah. Great. Next one, paper texture. Okay. So this is an example. This is an example of texture. So this was a very, very smooth grain texture paper, and you can see just how smooth my drawing was on this one. And then this was a rougher texture. So it just really depends what style you're going for as to which type of paper that you want to use. Great. Also, as a fun fact, you can kind of do pencil drawings as digital drawings. So these here, they look like they were done with pencil, but they've actually been done digitally. So I've done these ones over time. So there's lots of ways that you can even create, like if you're not too keen on pencil drawings, but you really want to do digital, but you do love the look of pencil drawings, then you can also do them digitally as well. So that's that. Software, right. Okay, so if you are starting out as an artist, and this is for digital software, what I would recommend is, let me make sure I'm on the right layer, is GIMP. So this is my best buddy when I was growing up. GIMP helped me a ton. So it's essentially kind of like Photoshop, but it's totally free. And it's a bit stripped back. So Photoshop has a lot of stuff that can be a little bit confusing if you are starting out, whereas GIMP is quite simple. I've also done some tutorials on it as well. I can send you a link if you're interested. And yeah, so GIMP is fantastic as a good starting tool. And that's pretty much where I did most of my drawings to begin with. Photoshop, I'm going to be honest with you, I used Photoshop for a little while, but personally, I moved on to Procreate on the iPad fairly quickly. But Photoshop, again, is probably the it tool for digital artists, especially those who are very serious about drawing on Photoshop. But if you aren't sure yet, please just try GIMP. It's great. Okay, Procreate. Now, not just because Procreate was made by Aussies, yes, Aussies. I'm currently drawing on Procreate on my iPad. So Procreate, I don't think works for a computer, but if you do have an iPad and you want a drawing tool, this is what I'm drawing on right now. So my screen that you're looking at is Procreate. So it's got all the features that you want, but it's just focused on drawing. So, and as well, where are we? I have an Apple Pen. So I draw an Apple Pen. I'm using, let me see if I can lift this up. This is my iPad. I've got a case which allows me to put it up at various levels. And it's great because I can look at what I'm drawing and I can zoom in, zoom out, I can flip it, I can turn it upside down. It's lots of fun. So I would totally recommend that if you've got an iPad, an Apple Pen, you can buy them on the Apple Store. They're about £100, I think. So it's a little bit of an investment, but again, it's up to you how invested you want to be. Wacom. Okay, so if you are wanting to work with your computer, you haven't got an iPad, and you're wanting to try GIMP or Photoshop, Wacom creates tablets. So let me get you my tablet. So tablet looks like this. It's a bit dirty, sorry. So a tablet is essentially, think of it like a piece of paper. So you're drawing on the tablet with your pen, and everything that you draw on the tablet is mimicked on the screen. So that's essentially how a drawing tablet works. It is a little bit tricky to begin with because you want to watch it, but you can't actually see anything on it. But eventually you learn to watch the screen and then just draw on the tablet. You can also get a tablet called a Cintiq, which is a bit like the iPad, but it's connected to the computer, but they're very, very expensive. So it just depends what you're interested in. Okay, right, that should be that. What are we going to next? Ooh. Let's do this. Okay, so you know how I said I love Ben Barnes? Here we are again. All right, so I've asked you guys to grab a mirror. If you don't have one, it's fine. I was just gonna have a little bit of fun with you guys. You can have a go at standing in your mirror later and doing this. So this is about proportions. I've just seen a comment from Sarah saying, got the time wrong, thought it was 11:30. Have we missed loads? We've missed about half an hour, which is fine because this video will be available live afterwards. So if you want to watch this later, you absolutely can. Okay, so I must start off with saying God is incredibly clever because we have these most amazing faces. And I don't know if you've seen this before, but you can look at my drawing or you can look at the mirror and look at your face and compare what I'm telling you. But the face is built up with the same proportions and same mathematical what would you call it? I don't know what the word is, but every face is the same, unless, of course, there is someone that's got a physical issue that means that their face isn't quite proportionate. Okay, that's a lot of talking. Right, so let's have a look. Right. Okay, so Ben Barnes. Okay, so the corner of your eye lines up with the side of your nose. Feel free to check it out on a mirror. I guarantee it'll work. All right, so the middle of your eye lines up with the side of your mouth. Pretty cool, hey? Okay, all right. Let's have a look at your ears. So the bottom of your ears lines up with the bottom of your nose. How cool is that? And then top of your ears lines up with your eyebrows. So you also have to get the angle right. If you're looking like this, it's obviously not going to work. But have a look into the mirror. Have a check of what I've just said to you. So corner of your eyes, corner of your nose, corner of your eyes, outside of your eyes, inside of your mouth, everything lines up. So if you want to look into this more, there's called the golden ratio, which is like the perfect face. All of us are going to be a little bit different. Just as a fun fact, both sides of your face don't look the same. If you took a photo of your face and then mirrored the same side on the other way, you would look strange because you are a little bit off. But anyway, that is that. Okay, but that's not all. Let's have a look at this. Okay. So when you're drawing, now the reason I'm telling you all of this is mainly for facial drawing, because if you understand how this works on the face, then it helps you when you're drawing. Okay, so there's Ben Barnes' eye, Ben Barnes' other eye. Okay, so the distance between one eye and the other eye is exactly, let's try that again, one eye. Boom, mic drop, end of session just there. No, I'm joking. So the distance between one eye and the other eye is a single eye. So if you're drawing an eye and you go, right, I want to draw the other eye on the other side, all you have to do is look at the distance of the eye you've drawn, measure it in the middle, and then that's where your second eye is going to be. How cool is that? And then on top of that, so let's just take that off for a second so I explain the next thing. Okay, one thing we need to understand when we're drawing eyes, a lot of people will see the shape of an eye. And when they go to draw an eye, they're trying to make a perfect circle inside the eye. But a lot of the time, your eyelid is covering part of your eye, of your iris. So your eye is actually bigger than what you're seeing. So anyway, that was just a side note. Okay, so if that is an eye, thank you, Google. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So generally, your nose is about 3 eye heights down. So if you've got an eye, you go 1, so go eye, 1, 2, 3, and that's where your nose is going to be. So that distance there is generally about 3 eyes. So another cool trick for you. Anyways, that's Ben Barnes. Isn't that lovely? So yeah, you can look at the mirror, have a go at testing that. It's just some cool, fun facts that blew my mind. Another thing. Right. Cool. Okay, so we're going to draw ourselves a circle. Whoop, sorry. Okay, all right, sorry, that took me a little while. So when people draw a face, they think that the eyes fall. So if this is a face, okay, if this is a face, people think, all right, the eyes are up here, you know, you got your nose here, your mouth here, perfect. Actually, that's not the case. A head is covering quite a lot of, your hairline is covering quite a lot of the top of your head, and the eyes actually fall almost directly in the middle of your face, in the middle of your head. So if you were to look at your head, your eyes are actually in the middle of your face. So you don't draw your eyes up here. Your eyes are essentially in the middle of that circle. So just another cool trick. I loved learning that. It just helps me when I'm drawing a face. Eyes go straight in the middle. And I can, once I've drawn an eye, I can figure out roughly where the height of the nose is and then use all these other proportions to make sense of it all. Hope that helps. Might be a little bit confusing. If you've got any clarifying questions, just let me know. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, so you know how I mentioned before that I draw with a timer. So this is a timer type of drawing. So all these drawings I took about 2 minutes with. So it might take you longer. Maybe you want to set a 5-minute timer. But it was just lots of fun for me just to kind of take the pressure off and just have fun drawing. Okay, so what I want to do is explain to you my method for drawing. Let's look at this one here. Okay, so just to stress to you, this is my method. It may not work completely for you, but this is the thing that I've felt is the most helpful for me. And I was trying to think last night what I could call this method, because I don't think there is a name for it, but I'm calling it draw like Sudoku. Okay, so let me explain. So have you ever done a Sudoku before? If you have, what you do is you generally start off with maybe one number or something like that, or a couple of other numbers. You put a number in, you think, I think that's where it goes. And then you start to work out some of the other numbers depending on, where everything else fits in. And then eventually you might go, oh, that number can't be right. That probably shouldn't be there. But because you've worked at some other parts of the Sudoku, then it goes, oh, actually, that can't be there. It has to be over here because of these numbers. Now, it's the same with the way that I draw. The way that I think about drawing is, it's like doing a Sudoku. I put in one piece and then I start drawing another piece. And then as I go along, I might go, that doesn't look right, because if I've drawn the eye there and the mouth is actually meant to be about here, that can't be right because I've missed something here. So as you go along, you start to figure out, where have I gone wrong? Okay, the nose looks funny. Why does the nose look funny? Okay, so if the eye lines up with the ear and that lines up with the jaw, okay, oh, I know why. It's because I've put that too low. So essentially what I do is I start off with one piece and then the rest of the drawing starts coming together, and then it becomes apparent where I've made mistakes. Okay, so let me explain it a bit better than that. Okay, all right. Another thing that I would recommend, not every artist agrees with this, so this is just a personal preference. When you are drawing a face, don't start with the outline of the face. So if you're drawing a face and you start with the outline, because if you're basing the outline, the rest of your drawing on that outline, and your outline is wrong, then the rest of your drawing is wrong. It is much easier to start with a small thing and then work your way up. Now, I always start with an eye just because I love eyes, but let's try that. So we'll start with an eye. Now I'm just going to draw over my drawing to explain this, and then we will do an example together. Yay. Okay. All right. Okay. So let's say I've drawn an eye. Okay. So the next thing I might want to draw is the nose. Okay. So I'm going to go right. So on my reference image, the nose fell somewhere at the end of the eye, along this point here. Okay, and then I might go right. So if this is the height of the eye, now this is me looking at my drawing, my reference image. I go, okay, if that's how tall the eye is, then the distance between the eye and the nose is roughly about, that big. Okay, so then I go back over to my drawing and I go, okay, I think the nose starts, maybe there. And then I go, all right, there's a bit more of the nose. There's the front of the nose. And then I go, okay, I've worked out the nose now. And then I might say, right, I want to draw this line here. So I'll go back to my image. I'll go, all right, so the angle is about roughly like that. Sometimes I even mimic it. So I go over my drawing and go, right, that's the angle there. And then I look at my reference and I go, that's the angle there. And then I go over to my drawing and I just do the same thing. And it just kind of helps me mentally visualize it. So I go, right, so the nose might be here. All right, so, and then from, oops, my eraser is too big. Perfect. Okay, so then I draw the nose and I go, okay, so now I want to draw the eyebrow. Okay, so the eyebrow is pretty much touching the eye, so it's somewhere along here. Okay, the angle is kind of like this. Okay, so, my drawing, okay, that's right. Okay, cool, that's fine. And then I go, okay, so the point here, this point here, all right, so that falls around here in the middle of my eye. So I'm going to go, okay, the point's about here. All right, it's going to be in front of my eyebrow. If that's the end of my eyebrow, then that's where that part is. Okay, and then I might go, right, I'm going to draw the ear. Now, disclaimer, cartoons don't always adhere to these ratios, but sometimes they do. So I go, okay, so I've drawn the nose. I know that the ear often falls along the length of the nose. The bottom of the nose. And I go, okay, so my ear is going to start somewhere along here. Let's say my ear starts here. Okay, so I'm going to draw it wrong to explain what happens. So I might go, right, so that's my ear. Great, amazing. And then I'll go start doing more of my drawing. Go, right, that's the mouth. That part of the mouth lines up with the nose. So I'm going to draw that part. All right, so my chin falls on that same angle as my nose. So I just keep going down. That's the bottom point. So I'm just going to connect those two. And then I start drawing the jaw, which I know is going to have an angle like that. And then I'm looking at my drawing and I go, oh, his jaw looks a bit weird. And I go, let me just have a think about that. I'm like, okay, so that lines up there. And I go, all right, well, the distance from this part of my mouth to the jaw, I look at my reference and go, okay, so the distance is about that big. And then I go back to my drawing and I go, right, so it's, I see my jaw's too narrow. I need to make it bigger. So like the Sudoku, I've figured out by looking at other parts of the drawing that I now have that I didn't have before, where I've gone wrong. So I'm like, right, great, awesome. So I've made that too small. Let me erase that. I go, okay, so that means my jaw has to, oh, wow, my ear's in a really weird place because my jaw has got to be that big, but why doesn't my ear's in the wrong place? So I'm starting to figure out as I go along where I've gone wrong. Okay, so all right, well, let's get rid of the ear. Okay, let me just check again. So the distance from the nose to the ear is about that far. Oh, that's why, because I put my ear here and it was meant to be back here. So I hope that makes sense. So what I'm starting to do is realize where I've gone wrong. And I go, oh, my ear's meant to go there. Oh, that makes more sense. That's why my jaw looked funny before, because I had it in the wrong spot. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. And then the rest of the drawing is the same thing. So it's like, right, the hair falls at the same point of the eye, right? There's some hair. Okay, the distance, the top of the head is about that far from the eye. So I go over to my image, I work it out, and I go, right, so top of the hair must be there. So, okay, yep, there's some hair, right, the distance there. Sometimes I also make shapes. So if I'm trying to work out this angle, I might go, right, so it's about that far across and it's about that high. Okay, well, I can connect that. Cool. Yep. All right. So, oh, look, the jaw lines up with the shoulder. Great. That's amazing. So that is pretty much my method for drawing. So it might look a bit, I've gone quite fast because I'm trying to cover a lot here. But that is pretty much how we do that. So that is one of my tricks. Okay. All right. Another trick that I might quickly just describe before we do our final drawing is a mirror check. Okay, so this probably works better digitally, but this is why I also asked you to bring a mirror, because it might also work when you're using a handheld mirror. When you're drawing, you will find, let me actually put this up. And let me take this off just for a moment. Okay. So this is a drawing that I did, and I'll just explain what I mean by this as it plays a little bit in the background. And you also see kind of where I went wrong and change things. Okay, so a mirror is really cool because when you're doing a drawing, you can spend quite a long time looking at something. Sorry, my brain went blank for a second. You can spend a long time looking at something and it starts to look correct because you've been staring at it for so long. But then once you flip it, you actually suddenly notice all the mistakes that you've made. So you don't actually see me flipping this because I didn't actually capture it in the video. But what I do when I'm drawing, so you can use a mirror to see this on a physical piece of paper, or if you're working digitally, flip your canvas all the time. Sometimes I flip it so much that by the end of it, I can't remember which direction I started drawing it, the left or the right. Because what it does is your eye gets so used to seeing something and it suddenly looks correct, but when you flip it, instantly you'll notice where all the issues are. So while I'm doing this drawing, which you can also find on YouTube, I would flip it and go, that eye's definitely in the wrong place, and then move that up a little bit. Okay, that jaw looks a bit funny on that angle. So the mirror can also be used to do this stuff. So so over time, I just built it up layers by layers. But you can see like where I started to where I ended. See that? See, I flipped it and I've gone, oh, that face is too narrow. I need to stretch it. So I know digitally, maybe I stretched just there. Digitally, that makes it a lot easier. It's very hard to that on a piece of paper, but the principle remains the same. So that is that one. Okay, let's do one last drawing. Coming up to an hour. Thank you for being with me. I hope you've been having fun. Okay, all right. Mickey! I told you I love Disney, hey? Okay, shall we do a drawing together? Now I'm going to try and slow this down. If I go too fast, this video will be available afterwards. You can rewatch it, do what you want with it. Okay, so another thing you can do with drawing is rough it out. Rough it out is really good because if you try and start like I explained before, that 10-second circle, you're trying to be really perfect and you're spending a lot of time on something that might not look great at the end of it. That was something I didn't mention before. And that's why I got you to that 10-second circle, is because you can spend a long time on something, but if you haven't quite got the gesture right, you invest all this time and it won't quite work out. So what we're going to do, get a pencil and let's just have some fun with this, okay? Let's start with, okay, so Mickey's head is a circle. Everything pretty much here is a circle, okay? I just saw a comment from Nate. Can we send our images in? Yes, 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 yes. If you have done anything from today and you want to share it with us, love to share it. Send it into St. Mary's Andover, send it to my art page, whatever you want. Love, 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 love to see what you guys have done. So Naomi, that's amazing. Okay, all right, so let's go. All right, let's start with the head of Mickey. So let's do that motion. Let's get ready to draw a circle. We haven't quite drawn a circle. Oops. Okay, cool. All right, we have a circle. I'm just going to move that a little bit because I realize I'm going to run out of the room. Okay, so we've done one circle. Right, we're going to draw the next circle. So let's have a look at it in terms of what we talked about before. Okay, so if that's my circle, and that's the top circle, it's pretty much almost smack bang in the middle of this circle. So it means our circle is going to fall somewhere along this line. We might go, okay, so the height of the circle is about that high, right? Okay, so yeah, the circle might be about that big. All right. Okay. Am I going too fast? I hope I'm not going too fast. Okay, so we've got one circle, we've got our second circle. Now we're going to do our third circle. Now, before we start placing a circle, we have a look at the distance thing that I talked about before. So the distance between those two is that much. So yeah, it's about that much, which is about that height. So I'm going to look across and go, right, that's about how far the distance is between those two circles. So that's going to be kind of one of the edges of my circles. And then I'm going to look over here. I go, okay, so if that is the circle here, so this line is actually kind of further down than the middle. So I would go back to my circle, go, right, if that is the middle, and the ear falls somewhere at the bottom of that, right? So, you know, that's kind of one edge, that's another edge. And then I look at this shape, I'm like, oh, that's kind of more of an egg shape than a circle shape. So I'm starting to put the pieces together. So I've gone, all right, so that's one. Yeah. Cool. I've got another ear. So that's what I'm talking about. So always have a look at your reference. Think about what's the distance, what's the angle, where does it line up with something else on the drawing? Okay, all right, now the nose. Okay, so if that is the edge of my Mickey Mouse, then, okay, so there's a bit of a distance thing happening here. Okay, so, you know, the nose is going to be somewhere like here, right? Okay, so if that's my, whoops. If that's my circle, that's the line that we drew before over here, right? So the bottom of the nose is going to fall on here. So the bottom nose is going to be there somewhere. Right, so that distance apart, somewhere along there. Right, let's go. Yeah, okay, cool. That could be the nose, right? And then this shape here, that is pretty much another circle. Isn't that cool? So I might go, right, it's going to fall along here. It's going to hit pretty much the bottom of my circle. So we're going to go, you know, we're going to start at this point. So it's somewhere about here on there. Right, and then it hits about there. Right, so I go, all right, I think that looks about right. Cool. And the circle continues up here. Yeah, and then we've got, you know, that falls on that line there. So we've got a bit of a smile. Yeah, and I've seen that goes back there. There's the line. Okay, let's go around like that. Yeah, okay. So see how I'm like working, I'm going back to my drawing, I'm working out where the points are. Right, I think that goes about there. Okay, great. Yep. Over here, I'm gonna go back. I'm like, all right, go straight up. So that it's going to fall somewhere over this side of the line. Cool. Yeah. Okay, now we're going to draw our eyes. So again, that's that point there. Eyes fall on that line. So if that's the side of my mouth, then my eyes are going to fall there. They touch this part of the nose here. Okay, so we've got one eye. The second eye. Okay, so that eye hits that same point. So we're going to want to be somewhere on that side of the eye, about that distance. Okay, so keep it no taller than that. Yeah, okay, cool. And then the eye goes in the corner like that. Yeah. Okay, now I'm looking at this, I'm going, ooh, this looks quite tall. I don't think it's actually that tall in real life. Okay, so I've realized I've made a mistake. I've made my mouth way too tall. So I'm gonna cut that back a bit. Let's bring an eraser in. Yeah, that's definitely not right. Okay, so I'm gonna, all right, if that's the height, that's the height. Yeah, okay, so actually I'm looking at a jaw that looks a bit more like that. Oh, that looks a lot better already. Okay, then got your mouth is going to fall in here. Yeah, I need to probably erase some of that back so I can, fit a mouth in there. All right, got a tongue. Yeah, cool. Oh, I just realized that goes there. Okay, so I need to make my jaw a little bit bigger here. It's going to come in through here. Yeah, cool. All right, so we've started making a Mickey. Let's do this. Canvas. Okay, so now I've flipped my canvas. I'm thinking, Charles, a wee bit slower. I'm so sorry. You can replay this afterwards, but hopefully it makes sense. Okay, so we flipped it. I'm having a look. I'm comparing it. I'm seeing maybe the angle of this isn't quite right. Okay, I need to make the angle a bit like that, right? Okay, so this kind of carries around like that. I've kind of got it a bit too straight up here. It needs to be more like that. Yeah, that looks probably a little bit better. Okay, so what we're going to do, I'm going to bring that down just so we can go over it again. Let's go black this time. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. Flip that back. All right, and then from here, we can just, now that we've drawn our lines a bit lightly, we can go in a little bit darker this time. Okay, all right, so I've got an ear. Yeah, we've got an ear, right, and then that carries down here. I'm looking at this shape. So think about negative and positive spaces. So it's not just about the lines. It's about what is, you've got one circle here and one circle here, but what does the shape look like on the inside? So I can see that the shape kind of looks like this. So I'm thinking about that when I draw the next bit. I'm like, right, so it's going to go in a little bit. It's going to curve out again. Yeah. I've seen that that is a bit thinner than the top bit. So I'm going to make the line a bit smaller along here. Yeah, right. Okay, got my, how are we all doing? Are we all right? We're still going? Nearly at an hour? This has been a lot longer than I expected. But I've had so much fun, and I hope you have too. Right, so I know that that comes up to that point of the eye. So if that's where the eye ends and that's where that mouth ends, right, think about that. Okay, carry that around there. Now I've seen over here now that that kind of makes that shape there. So I'm not trying to make a perfect circle. I'm actually trying to make this kind of shape. All right, the nose is a bit fatter at the top than it is at the base. Cool. All right, now I've done that. I've looked and I've gone, actually, that distance isn't quite right. That's a bit too far out there. So I'm going to redo that. Bring that a bit higher maybe. So I know I want one of the edges to be here. So actually, the nose looks more like that. So see where I had the nose before, but then as I've worked out other parts of the drawing, it helps me place it correctly where it needs to be. Okay, all right, let's look at the mouth. So before we didn't quite draw the mouth just right. So there's that bit there, right? So then there's a distance about that far to the mouth. So my mouth's going to be kind of hugging like that. So see where we had the mouth before, but now that we've kind of worked at other parts of the drawing, it's helping us. Okay, so I'm looking at that shape and that shape together, right? So that fits almost similarly to that other one. And again, that falls on that same line. So is that falling? No, not quite, right? That needs to come down a little bit. Like that, cool. I've got tongue in there. And that comes around here. All right, I'm about to answer some questions. So if you've got some questions, now's the time to put it in. And there we go. We have a Mickey Mouse. We've got our concentration. Great. That's amazing. All right, make sure you're putting any questions in. If there's no questions, that's great. It means I've covered everything. So I was going to color that in just a little bit more. Let's draw a little bit. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Love that you've been here with me. I hope this has helped. I'm sorry that I've talked so fast. This has been a lot to cover. If you want me to go over anything, I'm happy to respond privately. If you want to send me any drawings that you've done, please do that as well. Love to see them. Don't be shy, honestly. It brings me so much joy to see people having a go and having fun. If you've had fun, then that is the main thing. I'm so just wanting everyone to enjoy drawing. Color in his nose, and then that should be it. Ta-da! And we've drawn Mickey. Yay! Okay. All right. So that covers all of the things I kind of wanted to say, I think. All right. So let me just quickly check these comments. When is the next one? Well, I'm happy to do another one. I'd love to do another one. Let me know what you'd be interested in hearing about. It could be anything, really. Let me know if you want to know about color, if you want to do just another drawing with me together, if you want to learn about, I don't know, what do you guys want to learn about? Let me know, and we can do another one. This video is going to go up on YouTube and Instagram and all of those things afterwards, so you can rewatch this. And yeah, I don't see any other questions at this point, so I might bring this to an end. But I hope you've had fun. Again, my art page is Art by Natalie Beth. John Howard, cool. Never thought I could draw Mickey. Yeah, Mickey is so much fun. Cartoons is a great place to start because they're just fun. You know, and also if you're a little bit stressed about making something realistic, try something like a plant. A plant is a great one to draw because it's organic and it doesn't matter if you don't get it quite right. It's just your interpretation on it. Had a lot of fun. Are you going to do another class? I would love to do another class. Again, let me know what you'd be interested in seeing, and we'll get something up. So I think in an hour and 5 minutes, I've probably kept you long enough. Hope this has been fun. Please send me your Mickeys. I would love to see it. Even if you don't want to share it on social media, just send it to me privately, and just so that way I can see it. I would absolutely love that. You guys have been amazing. And I'll have to see you guys soon. Have a great day. If you're here checking us out for the first time, we're St. Mary's Church in Andover. We're going to be doing our Sunday service tomorrow at 10:30 on our YouTube channel, St. Mary's Andover. You should see us there with our black and white logo. And yeah, we'd love to connect with you. If it's your first time and you're joining us, please say hello in the live chat. We'd really love to see what you're up to. And that's it from me. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for drawing. It's been amazing to have you. Cool. Great. Thank you for these comments. I love it. See you.